An elderly, barefoot woman, starving and desperate, walked into a bustling Abuja restaurant with a simple plea for scraps. The manager's cruel laughter and harsh words shocked the room, but what happened next was unthinkable. A stranger, moved by compassion, stood up, silencing the mockery and sparking a chain of events no one saw coming. Why did an old, tarnished necklace around the woman's neck hold the key to a life-changing secret? Dive into this heartwarming tale of kindness, redemption, and a promise kept against all odds. She was elderly, famished, and shoeless. All she requested was some leftover food, but the restaurant manager's next action stunned everyone. Then a stranger rose, and from that instant, an unexpected event unfolded. Who was this impoverished old woman, and why did her necklace alter everything? Settle in as we explore this heartfelt tale. This incident occurred on a tranquil Monday afternoon at a renowned restaurant in Abuja named Haven Restaurant. The atmosphere was serene, with gentle music playing and the aroma of savory dishes wafting through the air. Servers glided between tables, attending to patrons. Well-dressed individuals dined and conversed at their tables. Everything seemed ordinary, calm, and tidy, but an event was about to shift the entire ambience. This was the day a humble plea would reopen past wounds. This was the day a stranger would enter and cause people to feel ashamed of their actions. That afternoon, the restaurant's front door opened gradually. Initially, no one noticed, but soon, heads began to turn. An elderly woman had entered. Her name was Teresa. Her wrapper was worn and faded, her blouse torn at the shoulder, her legs dusty, and she wore no shoes. She clutched a small black plastic bag to her chest, as if it were her most precious possession. She resembled someone's grandmother. Her back was hunched, her eyes weary, her skin parched, and her hands trembled as she walked. She took a step, then another, pausing briefly to rest. A waiter near the counter whispered to another, "Who let this woman in?" "I'm not sure," the second waiter replied. "Perhaps she's here to beg." Teresa continued, moving slowly and silently toward the counter, avoiding eye contact. A woman at a corner table raised her eyebrows. "What's this?" she murmured to her husband. "How could they let this old woman into this restaurant?" Teresa pressed on until she reached the front desk. She stood before a tall man behind the counter named Mr. Apollo, the restaurant manager. He wore a crisp white shirt and blue trousers, his arms crossed, his expression stern. Teresa looked up at him and said softly, "Please, sir, I'm sorry to bother you. I haven't eaten since yesterday. I'm not asking for much, just any leftovers would do." Silence fell. A nearby customer turned to stare. A young man chuckled softly. Another raised their phone to record. Teresa stood firm, unblinking, tearless, holding on to her dignity and hope. But what followed was unexpected. Apollo, the manager, scanned the old woman from head to toe. He didn't smile, offer a seat, or ask her name. Instead, he laughed, a harsh, prideful laugh. He leaned forward and said loudly, "Old woman, are you lost? This is a restaurant, not a garbage dump." Teresa remained still, her lips parting without words. Apollo glanced around, eager for an audience, and raised his voice again. "We don't serve food to people like you. Go beg outside." A nearby waiter stifled a laugh. Another whispered. Teresa spoke slowly. "I didn't mean to cause trouble. I was only hoping for any scraps, even bones." Apollo waved his hand dismissively, as if shooing a fly. "Leave, Mama, before you drive away my customers." Teresa stared at the floor, her legs weak, her stomach churning, yet she didn't move. Gradually, others in the restaurant took notice. A young couple in the corner paused their meal. A woman feeding her child stopped to look up. A brief silence enveloped the room. Then, a young man near the kitchen laughed. This old woman came to beg at Haven. Some laughed, others didn't. One woman gazed at Teresa with sympathy, touching her chest and whispering to her husband, "She's elderly and hungry. Look at her legs." But Apollo persisted. "Mama, this isn't a charity. You don't belong here. Leave now." Teresa didn't respond or argue. Her gaze remained downward, her hands gripping her plastic bag tightly. Her heart was heavy, but her feet stayed rooted. In a far corner, a woman sat alone, dressed in an elegant gold gown. Her brown heels gleamed, her nails painted light pink. Her face was composed, her eyes sharp. Her name was Jasmine, a medical doctor recently returned from abroad. This was her first week back in Nigeria, on a 1-month leave to rest and reconnect with family. She had come to Agrihaven for a simple meal, but her food sat untouched. Her eyes were fixed on the elderly woman at the counter. She had witnessed everything: Teresa's entrance, Apollo's mockery, and the dismissive looks from others. Jasmine felt a weight in her chest. Something about Teresa, her voice, her slow movements, her gentle eyes, felt oddly familiar. She leaned forward, scanning Teresa's face, then her hands, until something caught her eye: a necklace. It was ancient, its chain thin, its round pendant dull and nearly black. But Jasmine recognized it. She had seen it before. She looked closer, pulling out her phone to zoom in discreetly. Yes, it was the same necklace worn by her high school best friend, Rosalind. They were as close as sisters, sharing meals, studies, and tears. Her hands trembled slightly. She whispered to herself, "How is this old woman wearing Rosalind's necklace?" She set her phone down, staring again. Could this woman be connected to Rosalind? Could she be the one I've been searching for? Questions flooded her mind, but one thing was certain: Jasmine could no longer remain seated. Her heart heavy, her hands clenched around her purse, she stood quietly, pushed her chair back, and walked toward the counter. Her heels clicked, drawing attention. Teresa stood there, silent and weary, clutching her plastic bag like a shield. Apollo, arms crossed, looked smug, but his smile faded when he saw Jasmine beside the old woman. Jasmine faced him calmly, her voice clear. "Did I just hear you insult this woman for being hungry?" Apollo blinked, then frowned. "Madam, please, no drama. This woman is begging. This isn't a charity." Jasmine's eyes narrowed. "And that gives you the right to treat her like garbage?" She turned slowly, addressing the restaurant. Some patrons looked away, others continued eating, but many watched. She raised her voice slightly. "Is this how we treat our elders now? Is this what we've become?" Apollo tried to interrupt, but Jasmine cut him off. "If this woman were your mother, would you want her treated this way?" The room grew still. A young woman at a table whispered loudly, "This is too much. She could be any of our mothers." An older man in a white agbada nodded slowly. "It's true. We've lost respect." Apollo felt the pressure. The laughter quieted, proud expressions softened, and he was at a loss for words. Jasmine turned to Teresa, her eyes now gentle, her voice soft. She spoke clearly for all to hear. "This woman isn't a beggar. She's someone's mother, someone's wife, someone who once gave everything." The room was silent. Teresa looked at Jasmine, her eyes blinking slowly, uncertain of the moment. Apollo rolled his eyes and said, "Madam, don't cause trouble here. We're running a business." Jasmine didn't glance at him. Her voice remained calm, but firm. "Keep talking, Mr. Manager. I know the restaurant's owner personally." She paused, then added sternly, "One more word, and you'll be jobless by tomorrow morning." Apollo fell silent, glancing around. Too many eyes were on him, too many phones recording. Jasmine gently bent down, touching Teresa's hand with care. "Mama," she said softly, "you'll dine with me today? Let's sit." Teresa looked at her, lips trembling, speechless. Jasmine held her hand tighter, offering a small smile. "Come, you're not alone anymore." They walked together to an empty table by the window, but Jasmine's gaze lingered on the necklace around Teresa's neck, a key to a hidden past. The restaurant grew quiet, laughter and whispers replaced by the soft clink of plates and faint music. They sat at the table. A nervous waiter approached with a tray, placing a plate of fried rice, chicken, coleslaw, and plantain before Teresa, along with a cold bottle of water. Teresa stared at the food, her hands trembling, eyes wide. "Is this for me?" she asked softly. Jasmine smiled and nodded. "Yes, Mama, eat slowly. You're safe now. Teresa picked up the spoon with shaky fingers, taking a small bite, then another. Tears streamed down her face, silent and gentle. She set the spoon down and looked at Jasmine. "You're a kind woman, my daughter," she said with a faint smile. "God bless you. I was so hungry." Jasmine reached across, holding her hand gently. "No need to thank me, Mama," she replied. "You've endured enough." As Teresa ate, Jasmine's eyes returned to the old necklace. She leaned in and spoke carefully. "Mama, I don't mean to pry, but where did you get that necklace? I knew someone long ago who wore one just like it." Teresa paused, her spoon still, no longer eating. Her eyes fell to the necklace. She touched it gently, as if it held her past. Her voice was soft. "It belonged to my daughter," she said. "Her name was Rosalind. She gave it to me before she passed." Jasmine leaned closer, her tone serious yet gentle. "Rosalind? What was her last name?" Teresa looked up, lips trembling. "Massimo," she said. "Rosalind Massimo, my only child, my only joy. A sickness took her from me." Jasmine froze. She quickly reached into her bag, searching through papers, and pulled out an old photo, its edges worn, colors faded, but the face is clear. She held it with both hands and looked at Teresa. "Mama, please look at this photo," she said, her voice trembling. Teresa took the photo slowly, staring at the young woman smiling vibrantly, wearing the same necklace. Her hand shook, lips parted, but no words came at first. Then, slowly she said this. "This is my Rosalind," she wept. She looked at Jasmine. "You knew her? You were with her?" Jasmine's voice broke, tears filling her eyes. "Yes, she was my best friend, my closest friend. We met in school and were inseparable. She told me about her illness, her struggles." She paused, wiping tears, then continued. "One day, her number stopped working. I tried and tried, but couldn't reach her. I feared the worst." Jasmine added softly. "Before that, she spoke of you, your strength, how much she loved you. She gave me this photo and asked me to find you one day." Teresa cried, clutching the photo to her chest. Jasmine continued, "I haven't been back to Nigeria since, but this time I was determined. I searched for you. Someone near your old home said you'd moved, but they didn't know where." Teresa wiped her face with her wrapper's edge. "I left because I grew too old," she said. "I couldn't work or pay rent, so I left." Both were crying now. Jasmine held Teresa's hand tightly, heedless of onlookers. The moment was profound, raw, and powerful, two hearts mending in a bustling restaurant. Days later, Teresa's life transformed. Jasmine went beyond providing food. She bought a beautiful new house near her own in Abuja, painted soft cream with clean rooms and new furniture. One quiet morning, Jasmine took Teresa's hand and said, "Mama, this is your home now." Teresa stood at the door, stunned, speechless. Tears welled up. This is for me?" she asked, lips trembling. Jasmine smiled. "Yes, Mama, you deserve it. This is just the start." Jasmine didn't stop there. She hired a kind young woman, Peace, to cook and clean for Teresa, giving her a room in the house for companionship. She also arranged for Teresa to visit a private hospital for full medical tests, providing new glasses, strong medication, and a weekly doctor visit. Jasmine set up a monthly allowance for Teresa's food, clothes, and needs. Teresa no longer begged, walked barefoot, or went hungry. She had a comfortable bed, clean clothes, warm meals, and caring people around her. One evening, in her new living room, a soft breeze drifted through the window, the light gently illuminating her face. Teresa held Jasmine's hands and said, "My daughter, may God bless you. May He protect you when no one else can. May you never want. May your children never suffer. May goodness follow you always." Jasmine bowed her head and replied, "Amen, Mama, amen with all my heart." That day, a broken woman was restored, and a promise made years ago by Rosalind was fulfilled. Since moving in, Jasmine continued visiting Teresa with fruits, meals, or just to talk. She video called her husband and children abroad, introducing them to Teresa. They waved and smiled, calling her Grandma Teresa, making her laugh and her heart full. One peaceful evening, alone in the compound, Jasmine said softly, "Mama, there's..." Deep breath. "I'm an orphan, Mama. I lost my parents as a young girl." She paused, then continued. "In secondary school, life was tough. I worked small jobs after school, washing clothes, cleaning shops, selling groundnuts, to pay fees and eat." Teresa listened intently, her eyes calm. "Whenever I fell short," Jasmine said, "your daughter, Rosalind, always helped me." Jasmine's voice trembled. "She gave me money, food, books without me asking. She never made me feel less. She helped like a sister." She wiped a tear, smiling faintly. "She was more than a friend. She was my only family." Jasmine paused, the breeze soft between them. Then she said, "Mama, Rosalind helped me go abroad." Teresa blinked, stunned. Jasmine continued, "I got a scholarship to study abroad, but didn't believe I could go, lacking money for a ticket. When I told Rosalind, she was thrilled, but I said it was impossible. She looked at me and said, 'God wouldn't give you a scholarship without a plan to get you there.' She told me to trust God's path." Teresa's hand pressed against her chest. Jasmine went on. "A week later, she came to me, beaming. Her late father's gratuity, long applied for, was paid. She used part of it for my passport, visa, ticket, everything I needed to travel." Jasmine's eyes teared up. "Mama, all I am today is because of your daughter." Teresa cried too, silent but deep tears. She couldn't speak, her heart too full. Jasmine held her hand. "I can never replace your daughter," she said, "but know this. As long as I'm alive, you'll lack nothing. You're not alone, Mama. I'm here." Teresa squeezed her hand, managing only, "Thank you." They sat, two hearts united by Rosalind, a story time couldn't erase. 3 weeks after Teresa's humiliation at Agricaven, the memory lingered for witnesses. One young woman, Janny, did more than feel pity. She was eating near the door with her sister when it happened, seeing Apollo's cruel laughter and Jasmine's stand. Unable to sleep, Janny wrote the story, detailing Apollo's mockery and Teresa's honor by a stranger. She posted it online, titled, "This happened 3 weeks ago in a Abuja restaurant, and it broke my heart." She omitted the restaurant's name, but commenters didn't. Within 3 days, the post had over 10,000 shares. People were outraged, asking, "Who's this manager mocking a hungry old woman? Why is he still employed?" By the 5th day, the restaurant's owner, Madame Stella, got a message from her daughter abroad. "Mommy, your manager's trending for the wrong reasons." Reading the post, Stella's hands shook with shame. Her restaurant, known for class and care, was now labeled as disrespectful to elders and the poor. She called the restaurant, ordering, "Tell Apollo not to return. Pack his things. He's done." The next day, Apollo arrived with his usual arrogance, but his name tag was gone, his locker empty. A white envelope with his name held a note. "You no longer work here. Management." He stood, silent and shocked, but no one sympathized as his actions were exposed. Life can shift in a moment, for better or worse. Teresa entered with an empty stomach and no help, but left with a full heart and new family. This story reminds us, never judge someone by their circumstances. You don't know their past, their story, or what God has planned. Today, the mocked old woman lives in peace, joy, and comfort, while the man who ridiculed her lost his job for one act of pride and cruelty. What lesson did this story teach you? Share your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. Another moving story is coming soon, so subscribe and turn on notifications to catch it first. If you like this story, please like and share it with friends and loved ones. Thank you for watching. God bless you always.